Whoa. Is that your knees?
No, that was the chair.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just trying a different sitting position so I can be comfortable and more exciting when I talk.
Sounds like you're going to be crippled in a minute.
Dudes to Dads is a podcast to help men understand and navigate the transition of being a single dude into a family man. How do we make sense of it all? Well, we probably won't be able to, but let's go ahead and have some fun trying. Welcome to another episode. Should I do my funny voice? My serious voice?
I could do Peter Griffin the whole time.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's nice. We should just do an episode of voiceovers. Voices.
I wouldn't mind doing that, but I would have to keep it up the whole time.
Episode 10.
Dudes to Dads, talks
We
about
might be the only ones thinking we're funny, though.
Right, yeah, exactly.
That's true.
The guy's horrible.
But at least, other dads will appreciate movie quotes. At least we don't have a female audience. It's like, gosh, these guys are stupid.
Could you do a sexier voice?
Well, you've got the deep one.
Yeah, so. I'll be doing this all the time.
Yeah. Anyways, let's get started.
Who are you?
My name's Jason.
Yeah, cool. Jason Kreidman?
Yes,
maybe?
Jason Kreidman. And you are?
I am Alan Bush.
Alan, I feel like I haven't seen you in a while.
It actually has been a while.
I know.
Well, maybe. Yeah, it has been a little while.
Well, we try to do this podcast pretty regularly.
Yeah.
So...
But, we
life
see
happens. Each other about once a week.
Yeah, but life happens. You know how it is.
Yes, I do. I know very much.
You're the one with the kids.
I know. You're the dude. What excuse do you have?
I have to go drink somewhere?
Yeah. Oh, there was a drinking quote I found somewhere. It said something like, if kids like to drink in a bar, I'm going to be the perfect dad. Or something. It was awesome. So anyways,
cool.
New episode here.
Yeah.
Let me run down what we're going to do.
Cool.
I think it's very similar to the last as far as our episode segments. I think we've broken these down into segments, so it makes it a little bit easier to sort of digest.
Sure.
On the first one, we're talking about stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to give some suggestions, some things that people can do just to make some things fun. And things that you can do with your kids and spend some time. And usually it doesn't cost very much. It's something that's very simple.
Right.
And then we're going to go into the mailbag. Every week, we like to share at least one email that we get. And for those of you, if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, be sure to write us at podcast@dudestodads.com.
That's right.
So we got an email from a gentleman named Tony.
Okay.
And he actually put Tony from New York. I think he was really proud of his New Yorkness. So
aren't all New Yorkers proud of their New Yorkness?
I guess so. That's fine. That's cool. I mean, hey.
No, nothing wrong with that.
And then we go into Supercharge. And Supercharge is where we feature a product or products and something that might be helpful or that we came across that we think is cool or that we might even have used ourselves.
Sure.
And after Supercharge, we're going to go into Light Her Fire. And as I think the last episode, we played the first clip from the Light Her Fire audio programs.
Right.
So we've got another cool clip. This one's a little bit longer, actually, but it's filled with some goodness.
Sure.
Some really good stuff.
Yeah. And this is like relationship advice. Really.
It's relationship advice. This is part of being a dad is also often being a husband or boyfriend or whatever your current relations. Most of the time, it's probably husband. So we just want to give some tips on that and how to survive that. And then we're going to go into the homework. So a little bit different from Light Her Fire. Light Her Fire is kind of the advice of the romance, if you will. In most, not necessarily always romance, but
the
dynamic
or whatever. Yeah, I get that.
We'll get into the homework, and the homework is typically, though, it's really geared towards the children and or towards the doing something with the child or something about the child. So we got some homework, and then we'll finish off with a quote again.
Great.
And we got another. This one's funny though. This is.
Okay,
I've been serious a couple different episodes with serious quotes. Well, at least it was intended to be funny. I don't know if people are going to laugh. I wish I could hear them. Judge. I wish I could hear them on the other end.
Right. Can we do the live studio audience?
We should do a live podcast.
Oh, maybe do that.
Because this isn't complicated enough. We should do a live one.
And I can't
with streaming video.
Right. Yeah.
Answering live calls on a phone.
We could do it at the original meetup group that you host.
I guess I could do that.
We could do an episode in front of them.
Yeah, that'd be difficult and As long as you're going to handle all the technical part.
I totally will.
And I must say, that's what Alan is here. I was just say that's not what you're here for. You're the dude. But Alan's the one that takes care of all the technical aspects. He does the editing and sets everything up. And it's, it's got this awesome equipment and everything. So, one of the things, too, that you provide and you help people with is setting up other podcasts.
Yeah.
So that's something cool. So if anybody listening needs help with a podcast, whether it's learning about the technology or I don't know, want to be on the air.
Yeah. Just want to hear your voice somewhere.
Where can they reach you if they want to?
Probably through Twitter, Alan H. Bush. I'm at Twitter, and then Alan H. Bush at Gmail is one for now. I have another thing going on, but I want to reveal that later.
Look forward to hearing something exciting.
Yes, in the future.
Okay. Well, cool. So that's what we're going to finish off with is that quote. So let's get to it.
Right on.
So first is stuff to do. As we like to provide advice and tips on keeping your life exciting and entertaining and finding things to do with your child. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I love to do is make a fort.
Oh, I love making forts.
Forts are awesome.
Forts are awesome.
So
I still want to make forts.
I used to do this as a kid all the time. Now, if somebody's really handy, they can go out and make a fort out of wood and or steel in the backyard or whatever. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, my friend's dad made a tree fort, and it was like a giant box in a tree. And
that's so cool. But no, I'm not even talking. I'm not that handy.
I'm nowhere near that savvy.
I'm talking about the forts inside the house using sheets from the bed.
Yeah.
Blankets.
Right.
Pillows.
Yeah.
In between things and whatever. So in my son's room, and we do this, we've done it quite a few times. And of course he's like, hey, can we make a fort?
Yeah.
You simply just tying sheets and putting sheets up from one end to over something to something else. And I mean, literally a sheet or two is considered one of the coolest, forts. You can even make them more elaborate than we have.
Sure.
Because it makes a little, mess, but it's not that bad.
Not really.
But even just being under it, and of course my kids wanted to sleep in it, which was fine, but they just thought it was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. And so the actual process of making the fort is one thing where you're sort of showing them how to do it or actually figuring it out together.
Yeah.
Of how to make this fort. Where can we do this? Like from the couch to a chair and putting a blanket in between or something like that.
Right, yeah.
And so that you can crawl under it. Seriously, it's so much fun. That part may not last that long.
Yeah.
But then actually hanging out inside the fort is where it's also cool. So we would make something and then read the books for the night in the fort.
Sure.
Or even they slept in the fort.
Turn off the lights, put the flashlights on.
Oh yeah, you could totally go out
up in there.
Yeah, so that's just something I think it's really easy to do.
Yeah.
I have really fond memories of making forts myself.
Yeah.
With my friends and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so that's something. Whether you're male or female, or I should say, you have a daughter or son. They'll enjoy it.
Sure.
And the fact that you're just down on the floor with them.
Yeah.
Is really cool.
I grew up in Massachusetts, and you have a very, very fond memory of a friend and I making snow forts.
Oh,
and we'd go outside and
like an igloo?
Almost. We had we had one day where we made these crazy forts where it had like a little window in it, and then we had another place where we had a sled that would go down a hill and then lead to another set of snowballs that we had stashed away.
Right.
That we were preparing for this big snow war.
Yeah. I had growing up in my street, there were some older kids and very handy like woodworker guys.
Yeah.
They were only a couple of years older.
Sure.
They were just phenomenal fort builders. Multiple levels, and like you said, the guy in the treehouse. But I'm not even talking about going there.
That's a little too elaborate.
Yeah, you don't have to do that.
If you could do that, great. But
and I was always amazed, just as a child. I'm like, how do these guys do this? Now you have YouTube, which you can just
you're right.
You can go on YouTube and see how it's done. So that's just something to do. I think making a fort is something that's fun and it's really easy. So
yeah,
cool. All right, up next we've got the mailbag. So Tony from New York writes to us. You want to read Tony's email for me?
I'll read Tony's thing. So
sure.
A previous homework assignment was to go out on a date with my wife. Our budget is so tight, we really can't afford to go out to a nice dinner and hire a babysitter. How can I go out on a date with these limitations? And that's very much very much similar to what we just described on the last time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So totally understand that one because budget is tight. You can't afford. You don't want to go out to dinner. I think so. There's a couple different things you can do. One is simply trade with another family. So if you have other families in the area,
trade kids.
Well, yeah,
I'll have yours, you have mine.
Yeah,
oh, but I see
for the night.
Yeah, not just simultaneously trade.
Yeah. No, for the night, you say, hey, listen, we'll watch yours, and then next week you watch ours, or whatever.
That's
you
great.
can even offer to do it first.
Yeah.
That's something. Now, if it's too late or something like that, I mean, of course, family members and everything else. So there's not a tremendous amount of excuses. If you know nobody and you don't have any family in the area and you're sort of just, then you know what? Save up.
Yeah.
And maybe budget for a babysitter.
Right.
A young. They're cheap,
relatively speaking,
now,
right?
A lot of people will say, well, they don't trust anybody. I totally get that.
Yeah.
There's also babysitting services that they do background checks and everything else, and that might be worth it.
Care.com, I think, does that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you want to line yourself up with a couple of babysitters prior to needing it.
Right, because you don't want it to be a last-minute thing or
so you want to have people that you've interviewed or that friends know or whatever that you can go to and say, hey, listen, maybe there's a stable of 2 or 3 of them, and they're because you never know if they're going to be available and you can get a babysitter. The other thing about going out to a nice dinner, you don't have to go to a nice dinner.
Go to a crappy dinner.
Well, you can go to a crappy dinner or you can just pack, you pack something.
Yeah,
and the truth is, it doesn't even have to be a dinner.
Right. Right.
If you're on a weekend, you could go during the day if that's easier.
Brunch, lunch, whatever.
I mean, it doesn't really matter. The fact is, it's about spending the time together. So for Tony from New York,
Tony.
I don't think you're looking at it as a limitation, but it's just about being a little bit more creative. And that sometimes people ask that because it's an excuse.
Sure.
Because they just don't want to.
Well,
I'm not saying Tony's doing that. I'm not saying
No, but you're right. I think when people automatically assume dinner, they say nice dinner, going out on this big elaborate date.
Yeah, you don't need to.
And like you said, pack a lunch, pack a dinner, it could be a brunch or a breakfast or whatever.
Yeah.
But just make sure you take that time out.
Yeah, I mean, go to the park.
Yeah.
Go sit at a park somewhere. We live close to the beach. You can just go and sit near the beach. I mean, it's not, or whatever. I mean, just you could drive. You could go for a drive.
Yeah.
Just having that time together.
Yeah.
is really, really important.
Sure. Yeah.
That's an important one. And if anybody else has any questions, don't forget you can write us at podcast@dudestodads.com.
That's right.
So, all right. Up next, we've got Supercharge. So this is a product that I actually purchased. It was based on a recommend. What's that?
When did you get it?
Last month.
Oh, okay.
Or so.
Fairly recently.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, and it's working great.
Yeah.
So I took a parenting class, and then one of the gentlemen in the parenting class is now in part of our meetup group.
Oh,
so it was
very
really
cool.
Yeah. And he does something like this with his kids, and it was that suggestion. So I actually found this product that did exactly what I had been looking for. And basically, it was to teach kids about money a little bit. I mean, it's called the Moonjar Classic Money Box. Save, spend, share. So let me explain it.
Okay.
And I have it up on a screen here. So Alan,
it's a very colorful thing. Yeah.
So basically, and you can get it on Amazon. It's like $16 or something.
Okay.
It's basically a bank, like a piggy bank kind of thing, and has 3 parts to it. 3 parts to the piggy bank. And you can save, spend, and share. So we give our children a couple dollars each week. We don't call it an allowance. It's just part of being part of the family.
Sure.
And they put $1. Oh, so we give them $3. Yeah. They put $1 into each one of these. Now, another person I know gives their child $5 a week, and 2 of it has to be saved.
Okay.
The other $3, or maybe it's $3 can be saved, or I don't know. But a certain amount has to be saved, and the other parts can go in either of the ones.
Right.
So what the kids will do is they put it in the spend, save, and share. So what you're teaching them are those concepts about hey, when you get money, certainly you're allowed to spend it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
The other part of it is to save it, and to put it away because you may need it for something else.
Yeah, right.
And then the last part is to share it. And so that part, they get to choose what it is that they want to share it with. And that could mean a charity, that they want to do, or donation.
Yeah.
or something where they feel, they're helping and giving back in some way. And so we're teaching that, to the kids. And when this was suggested to me, I thought it was perfect, because we were looking for something, rather than just a piggy bank and saying whatever. This is a perfect way to just illustrate what you need to do. And it's actually for adults too.
Yeah, straight out. This is teaching you how to budget.
It's teaching how to budget. It's teaching the kids. What was really important for us too is the idea of being able to share it.
Yeah.
The fact is that you are saying, hey, listen, I'm making this money.
Yeah.
I'm going to share it with the people who might need it.
I think this would be really great for teenagers, and it reminds me of an episode of the Cosby Show when he explained to Theo, and he says, "Well, you're gonna live on your own." He's like,
right.
"Yeah, I'll live off of hot dogs and blah blah blah." And he got some of the money back, and he goes, "You plan to have a girlfriend?" He's like, "Hell yeah!" And he
takes
took
the money,
all the money away. It's it's exactly that. You're saying that there's a certain amount that you're allocating towards someone else,
right?
And there's a part that you're putting away, and there's a part that you can do whatever you want with it.
Well, and it's interesting too. So my kids, when they get the spend money, they ultimately want to spend it right away.
Sure.
They're
let's go get some candy or whatever it is. Yeah.
And there is a little bit of policing on what they can spend it for. I would try to be fairly open. It's their money, so that they can spend it. There's certain things that we just don't necessarily want in our house or something like that. But basically they can decide what it is.
Sure.
And so
within reason. Yeah.
And so they decide on that something. So they will spend it, and it's interesting because you then get to go somewhere, and when the child says, "Hey, I want this, this, or this," you say, "Well, do you have the money?" Do you?
Yeah.
And it's like, "No, I just spent it." So, all right. Well, you know what? You can save up, and you can do that.
Maybe next time.
And it totally starts to begin to teach them about that. And so, both of my kids are really taken to it. They're proud of it. They have it there. And so the next step is, because we've now been doing it for a month or two or so. Is figuring out, the save is fine because we can put it in their bank and save it. But the share, it's who do you want? My daughters really loves animals. And so we might, we're looking at, give it to a shelter or something like that and donate it. And my son is, he's funny. He said, "Well, I want to give it to somebody who's homeless." And I was like, "Where did you get that?" He just came out with that. And he said, "Well, I saw somebody that didn't have a home and, something." And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Just
want to hug him.
Yeah. So that's just something I think is a great tool for teaching. So props to the Moonjar people.
That's a great concept in general. I think everyone should be adopting that.
And you know what? I'll put a link on the website. We actually have an affiliate link that
perfect.
I'll put up on the website.
If you want to support the podcast, please click on that link and buy it.
Yeah, I think we get a couple pennies after.
We'll put it in our save jar.
That's right. We'll put it in our save jar. We should have one of those here at the corporate headquarters.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, next up we've got Light Her Fire.
We really believe that when we are madly in love, there ought to be no conflicts, and if there is conflict, it's time to break up. And what I'm saying is there has to be conflicts. So it's how you view your relationship that matters, not what's going on in the relationship. A little while ago, I said that there were always two ways of looking at everything. Maybe up to now, you've been concentrating on your mate's negative qualities. You've been seeing her personality traits as bad, negative, or wrong. Let's see if you can concentrate on the positive aspects of her personality instead. One way of doing that is to say, how would another man who really loved this woman look at the same traits that seem to annoy me? I'll help you with some suggestions, and then you're on your own to add to the list. The negative way of looking at her: she talks too much. The positive way of looking at that same trait: she's so friendly and puts everyone at ease. Here's the negative: she argues so much. Positive: she has such strong convictions. Negative: she thinks she knows it all. Positive: she's quite intelligent. Negative: she's so conceited. Positive: she has so much confidence in herself. Negative: she's too easygoing. Positive: she really has a calming effect on everyone. Negative: she's so stingy. Positive: she's trying to save money for our future. Negative: she spends too much money. Positive: she's always trying to improve our lifestyle. Negative: she's too rigid. Positive: she's really very organized. Negative: she can never sit still. Positive: she has so much energy. Negative: she's too emotional. Positive: she's so sensitive. So it's not a woman's traits, but how you view those traits that will determine how you react to her.
So this is a big one for me. Looking at positive versus negative, the idea of being pessimistic versus optimistic, whether it's for myself or for my wife or my kids or whatever, This one really hit me as something that I need to work on.
Well,
You know?
I will say, in hearing what you're about to preface, you did this when we used to work together. Like you would kind of, as a manager, I think you had learned to adapt some of the stuff.
Sure.
And so
Well, yeah, thank you.
I think you had mentioned this before, and it's very similar to. Now I'm having a flashback of you saying that. Well, instead, I think you had a manager training or something, and you were talking to some people about what they can do when you're talking to colleagues.
Right.
Instead of saying you're horrible at this,
Tell them what you do.
Tell them what you're doing right,
Yeah.
and do more of that.
Or not necessarily tell them, but yeah, instruct them on what to do, rather than what not to do. And we've said that about with the kids too.
Yeah.
In saying you don't say, don't run.
Right.
You say walk.
Right.
You tell them what to do, not what not to do.
Yeah.
And so it's really focusing on the positive aspect of it. So, the idea of looking at your spouse in that way of saying, gosh, this always gets to me, and totally turning that around and saying, oh, you know what? I can kind of appreciate that because of this, this, and this.
Sure.
So that's a big one.
It is.
Do you find yourself doing sort of similar?
Yeah, and I had to learn to not be so negative, as I got older. And now that I'm a little older, I understand how to phrase things a little differently. I'm a lot smoother as I got older, right. And it's the same thing. It's like identifying the things you like. And I actually had an ex-girlfriend kind of show me that through the course of our relationship, because she wasn't ever really picking on me or anything, but she would say, I like it when this is happening, or I like when you do this. Right. More. And so okay, well, I'll do that.
We're talking about a certain circumstance?
Yeah. No, we can get into that another one. That's a whole different fire to be lit.
Right.
But I do, I see the benefit of that, because I don't react to negative reinforcement.
Yeah, you said that
well.
about your childhood, is that you really react, or even today, is like you respond better to positive reinforcement versus the negative, which I think most people do.
I think they do, but some people need to be like kind of, forced into it, and say, because they don't really feel the same way that other people do when they are reinforced positively.
Right.
I think some people feel like they have to be told what to do, and they need that discipline.
Right.
I talked to a friend of mine actually who said that. He goes, I'm going to join the military. And I was like, why? Because he goes, when I'm left to my own devices, I need discipline. I need someone yelling down at me and telling me to do things, because otherwise I'm not going to do it.
Oh,
and so he
well, it's good to know that about yourself.
And he's a totally nice guy. Like, I would never expect him to be a military guy, but he said that the reason why he was going to join. So nothing against military people. I'm just saying
right.
that,
No, I see what you're saying.
His personality did not fit the typical person that would want to join the military.
Really?
And he did that for that reason, because he said he was left to his own devices. He would venture off and do drugs or whatever.
Well, I would imagine that the military has a very wide. I mean, we don't have a military family, and I don't have a lot of experience, but I would imagine the personality types vary widely. But I think, as what you're saying, is just sort of there could be some commonalities of what you typically, and the ability to. I mean, whether it's military or it's even just employees.
Sure.
Employees, and the ability to take instruction and stuff.
Right.
I mean, that was why I became one of the main things about me becoming an entrepreneur is I just didn't like listening to people.
Right. But you have to flip that for your relationship.
Well, totally. But I mean, whether it was in college, looking at joining a fraternity, or people sort of telling me what to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's an ego thing or if it's something, but
partially
entrepreneurial. I liked being in charge, and sort of. Helping other people achieve stuff and sort of working together on it, but taking somewhat of a leadership role.
Yes.
Rather than a follower role.
Sure. Right.
So I think, I think what we're kind of circling back, I think the idea of focusing on that positive aspect of your spouse is really, really important.
Sure.
And I think that's important.
It is. No, I totally agree with that.
You remember that? One to grow on?
Yeah, we're from the same generation. I like that.
One to grow
on. Star.
Yeah.
Rainbow.
The star with the rainbow. Exactly. I wonder what happened to that. That was like Saturday morning cartoons.
I'm sure we can find it on YouTube.
All right. Somebody out there, if you know, send us an email, podcast@dudestodads.com. And next up, we've got a little bit of homework. So in line with what we heard from the Light Her Fire segment, here's our homework.
Okay.
I want the dads to identify 3 negative thoughts that you have about your child. Yeah, I know. It's not, this is reality though, and write them down.
Yeah.
Don't let your child see them, but write them down.
Yeah.
And so this could be, my child is too sensitive, or maybe they cry at everything, or they're really unorganized, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then
if they're infants, they poop a lot.
Yeah, I don't think you can change that one. And then what you do is you write them down, the 3 negative thoughts that you have about your child that you've had, or maybe you've had in the past, and then turn those 3 statements into positive. So just like we heard on the Light Her Fire segment of saying, gosh, my child just cries all the time. Turn that into a positive. My child has compassion and is sensitive towards things, which is really going to help them later in life.
Sure.
Whatever it might be. And so think of what could be the positive instead of the negative.
Sure.
And so you're going to want to sort of begin to go down a road of focusing on the positive aspects of those around you. And I think what you'll find too is that it starts working for yourself, and you have to look at your positive aspects too. I'll give you an example for myself personally. I might be considered, quote, type A, high strung, stressed out, whatever.
I didn't say that about you.
Yeah. Now, if I can accept and look at it in a positive way, it's, I'm very energetic, and also that's how I get things done.
Yeah.
I'm successful, or I accomplish a lot, or however I would like to, describe it.
Right.
It's just a really different way of looking at it. In fact, it's funny. I saw recently a TED Talk.
Yeah.
And the gentleman speaking was talking about that stress itself doesn't kill you. And they did this, big test. It's really the attitude you have about the stress. So for people who feel negatively about the stress, those are the ones that have trouble with it and die. So
yeah, I tell people a lot that it's okay to feel bad or go through these emotions. Don't feel bad that you feel bad,
right?
Because you're making it worse,
right?
If once you understand that it's okay
not always
to feel
have to be, always be blah, 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 everything's positive.
No, it's just that you accept.
It's accepting.
It's accepting it. And I had a discussion on
there
the
are
text.
stuff is going to be bad.
Yeah,
and accept that it's going to be
the
bad.
more you accept it, the less bad will happen.
Right.
Trust
Self-acceptance.
Me. Yeah, it's
whole big topic.
Yeah, you won't feel bad once you understand that you can feel bad.
Right.
And then once you understand that, then the more time you'll spend less time feeling bad at that point.
Right.
So
no, that's cool. Yeah. Good stuff. So with the homework assignment, so just identify 3 negative thoughts you have about your child, write them down, turn those 3 thoughts into positive statements. Those 3 negative thoughts.
Turn that frown upside down.
Yeah, something like that. We're going to finish off with a quote. I don't know who said this.
Oh, okay.
But I liked it.
Did you find it in midair? Like, how'd you get this? Tap into a
I tapped
realm?
Into the dad... I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Who cares where I got it? I got it, okay?
All right,
it fell off the back of a truck. No, I was just, to be honest, I was prepping for the show.
Yeah.
I looked up cool dad quotes. Now, I don't know what I did. It was something on, there's this thing called Google, and you can totally go on there. It's weird. You can put in like a search of what you're looking for.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's really
I'll
cool.
look it up.
Right.
I'll Wikipedia it.
On the interwebs.
I'll bing it.
No, you can go on this thing. It's called Google, and you can type in a search thing of what you're looking for, and up comes like results for it.
Weird.
Yeah, totally weird. So anyways, quote, "When I was little, my dad had me convinced that the ice cream truck only played music when it was sold out." Well played, Dad. Well played.
That's awesome.
Isn't that funny? So we're going to end on that. It's a good quote for the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thanks, Alan.
Thank you, Jason.
I appreciate you being here again.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next time.
All right.